Good evening, and thanks for joining. This is Bill Quinn. Todd Wood is on assignment this evening, so we will be persevering and pushing forward. We will look forward to having him next time. So, a number of things we're going to cover tonight. But first, thank you, one, for joining us. We continue to see lots of people signing up and subscribing to X, to YouTube, to all our different social media, and it continues to climb, and we appreciate that. There's lots of stuff coming out now. We do see Georgia being proven once again to be the epicenter of many of the issues that we've worried about, and so we continue to get that word out, and we appreciate you being here so that we can get that word to you. So before we get into the agenda for the evening, let me welcome one of our sponsors, and we'll hear a message from them.
I'm David Cross, and you may know me from my election integrity work, but I also own U.S. Asset Management, an investment advisory practice. I've been an advisor for nearly 30 years, and one of the questions I get asked most frequently is, do I have enough money relative to other people my age? And while that's an interesting question, it's also the wrong question. The right question is do you have enough money to sustain your lifestyle for the rest of your life? This is a question you should know the answer to. This is what we do. Check us out at us-am.com and look for our big, proud American Eagle logo.
That was David Cross, as many people know, good friend of CDM and a wonderful advisor across a number of different financial disciplines. So if you find yourself in need of advice, we recommend you consider speaking with David about how he might be able to help. So this evening, we're going to cover a number of different topics. One, earlier today, there was a state election board meeting. A number of things surfaced within that meeting that we want to bring to you. They continue to center around some of the issues that have already been spoken of in previous weeks and previous meetings. But even some new stuff is coming out, some really outlandish things that continue to prove that there are concerns here, serious concerns that need to be investigated and provide the underpinning, if you will, for the actions taken by the DOJ in recent weeks when they raided Fulton County's election center and took away a number of the 2020 election materials so that they could be finally inspected properly and determine what is contained in there and look and see what the evidence may show. We'll also have the opportunity to visit with Hank Sullivan this evening. Hank has written a number of different Substacks recently. He continues to focus on the issues across Georgia, but also very specifically the issues surrounding Forsyth County. It just doesn't get any better, and there's some surprising things happening there. We'll also hear from a candidate. We get the chance to visit with her earlier in the week, but we thought it was wise to go ahead and let you hear a little bit more from her, Lee Hills. Lee is running for state senator out of District 56, and she really has some strong opinions, good strong opinions. I want to make sure people had the chance to hear that. So we will hear a bit from her. We'll probably play an excerpt from her interview that occurred earlier this week. We'll also catch up on some other things with regard to the information coming out surrounding the Epstein documents and some of the troubling revelations there that are being exposed. We are nowhere near being done with this. As a matter of fact, there is news now that there may be more millions of documents yet to come in the coming days and weeks. And so we'll give you some of the updates there and also point you in the right direction so that you can continue to follow this and research on your own those areas that you wish to. Okay, so as we get going, let's begin with this. So Liz Harrington, who has been very eyes on with the election shenanigans, if you will, here in Georgia for now a number of years, beginning when she was with the Trump team back during his first presidency in office. So she calls out here, Fulton County lawlessly administered the 2020 election. That does now look to be the case. And now they are lawlessly trying to cover it up. Well, that's not really new news. We've watched this for months now. as they've done everything possible to make sure that nobody could get to these ballots. And unfortunately now they've been seized. The ballots have been seized from the 2020 election by the FBI and at the direction of the court. So court-ordered seizure executed by the FBI under the watchful eye of Tulsi Gabbard. Fulton has now sued to get the ballots returned. But here's a problem. They never took a vote. So one of the folks on the Board of Elections in Fulton County, Julie Adams, whose name you will know from many previous reports, stated the following: actions and agency decisions made in violation of the Open Meetings Act are void. Isn't that interesting? Here's her actual letter to Chris Carr calling out what's been done. You can't have simple actions taken on behalf, theoretically, of the public of Fulton County without making those decisions an action underneath a vote and in compliance with the Georgia Open Meetings Act. We've spoken of this in the past a number of times. Georgia has sunshine laws, which are meant to make sure that the public can get a hold of and see decisions that are made, why they're made, and what the results of these decisions may be. Well, it turns out that Fulton may have pulled the trigger prematurely. Looks like they did. And again, they seem to answer to no one, do what they wish to do. And unfortunately, they've been caught yet again. Okay, so that was the latest. Also here, Heather Mullins reports based on the state election board meeting that occurred today. So as it turns out, non-citizens were found on Georgia's voter rolls only because they were summoned for jury duty and admitted at that time they weren't citizens. So the Georgia State Election Board heard testimony today about it. We're going to show you a few short clips of what occurred today. And this is by no means the entire segment. They went on for hours, and I don't have an update, but they may be continuing even into tomorrow. That's occurred on a number of occasions. Here's part of an excerpt from the meeting earlier today.
With this audience, there's also a federal program called SAFE, I believe it is, that will run the entire database for the state of Georgia, or certainly for Fulton County or any county, DeKalb County, to look for non-citizens. And it is free. It is free now. It used to require some payment. It is now free. I do not understand why every county or the entire state is not running this database to check for non-citizens, rather than us just putting out press releases that we have no non-citizen on our voter rolls. That's not true. We're looking at 7 cases or 9 cases right now of non-citizens on the voter rolls. And these are just 2 counties of 159 counties in this state. We could do better than this.
And this is what we know because they were summoned to do jury duty, and they happened to do the right thing by saying that they're a non-citizen. But if you have a bunch of people on the rolls where we have counties that county election workers that are not trained to look for non-citizen IDs, they're just matching the voter rolls. And then on top of that, if you have someone who does get a jury summons and decides that they want to go and sit on our jury, even though they're a non-citizen, then we don't catch them. So for people that are saying, oh, it's just 9 people, it's just 9 people that happen to do the right thing. We have a lot of other people out there that may be on the rolls that haven't, especially when we have inflated and dirty voter rolls.
So keep this in perspective. Now, recall that Raffensperger in previous months and literally on video on national networks has talked about the efforts to make sure that we had the cleanest voter rolls in the nation. Clearly, that is now shown to be incorrect. And one of the claims that he has made is they have checks for citizenship. Well, that again appears to be unsubstantiated, we'll call it for the time being, to be gracious. But you hear cases where even county attorneys are willing to admit that they really don't have a way of doing these things. Here's I believe it's one of the Fulton County attorneys.
The complainant is Mr. Frazier, right? Could you share with the board your...
Oh, bear with me. Let me try this one. Here we go.
I am the attorney for the Fulton County Board of Registrations and Elections. It's just retained on Monday. You've probably seen me here before, though. Our office only represents local government clients, and I usually handle all the election offices. So I have been here before. With this case, We do admit that all three of the registrants that were in Fulton County appear to not be citizens. One of them was registered in 2013. The other two were in 2017. None of them have a voting history. Since that time, the system has changed immensely, and especially with Jarvis. Now, there's more affirmative steps that have to be taken, that they have checked yes to everything, including that they are a U.S. citizen. And also you upload basically the proof of their citizenship. So since then, not only has the state enhanced its procedures and the procedure with Jarvis, also the standard operating procedures are newer than they were in 2013 and 2017. You should have received an email yesterday. That packet does include a copy of that portion of Fulton's operating procedures and the steps that registration officials take to verify all the information, to make sure that they are not already registered with their driver's license or other information, and also to include the citizenship information.
Isn't that interesting? They always seem to have these interesting answers. Yet there's case after case after case, and we're going to hear about some in just a moment from Jason Frazier, for folks that are shown to be on the voter rolls multiple times, maybe with slight differences in their name, maybe with slight differences in the address or something else, but with unique voter IDs. So in other words, 2 or more registrations for a potentially given person. And now this lady is purporting that, oh, well, they have citizenship checks, pardon me. So you will find out, I believe, that this too will be challenged as we get more and more data. Here's a gentleman that apparently had someone register on his behalf, and he talks about it not even being his signature. Watch this.
Is that your application? And your signature?
I do not sign my signature this way.
You did not fill out that application?
No.
Is there anything else on the card that it's not correct?
Everything seems correct, but I never did any of this.
Did someone fill out an application for you, Mr. Francis?
Not by my knowledge.
Is the address correct on this?
I currently moved, so I'm not staying in the cab anymore.
Was this address correct in 2020?
Yes.
You live there?
Yes, I did live there.
But that's not your signature.
No.
You have your driver's license on you?
I don't have it on me, but I recently replaced it, so the driver's license number is different, as I've known.
Well, that shouldn't change, right? Okay.
Can you sign something for us? Let's see how you sign things?
Yeah, can you sign your name can you give him a piece of paper so he can sign his name?
Sign this. Sign this.
I have to make a comment here that they are already having him do more to substantiate his voting registration card and signature than they get Fulton to do in many cases to substantiate all the ballots that they've been hiding now for years. So very, very interesting. Let's take this down. I'm going to go back to the video I started to play, which was Jason Frazier, and let's hear some of his testimony before we continue.
It is Mr. Frazier, all right? Could you share with the board your method or your data of how you found what you searched or reviewed and how you came up with the possibility of a double registration and a double vote?
Sure. So these were from back in 2022. I went through the Fulton County voter rolls and I found approximately 10,000 people that were registered more than one time just within Fulton County. So I turned that list in to the county. And when I did that, I simply looked on that voter roll, which was dated before these people were merged, before Jarvis existed. And on that voter roll, and I still have that voter roll here, it showed a date last voted of 11/3/2020 on all 4 IDs. So 2 people, 4 IDs. And again, the voter roll shows a date last voted. So I don't know how this how there could have been a mix-up with Jarvis and with merging if this all happened before Jarvis and before the county even knew they were double registered. So I see different data, but I went on further to prepare for this, and I went on there and I looked at the voter history file before the Jarvis transition, and that also showed credit for all 4 IDs showing the November 2020 election, a vote on that. So again, that's what the data shows before the merge, before anybody knew they were double registered, and before Jarvis. So again, I think that answer, even though that sounds nice and we've got everything fixed, that's just not really the case. But then I went a little bit deeper and I looked at the absentee voter file. And for some of the folks that aren't into the weeds as much, that's the file that's created every night during early voting that shows everyone that has requested an absentee ballot, returned an absentee ballot, and had an absentee ballot counted. I went in that file and only one of those 4 IDs showed that they even requested an absentee ballot. So that's another disconnect in the data. And also I looked at the numbered list of voters, and that's the list that we try to get every election, but the Secretary of State now refuses to give us because they say timestamps compromise ballot security, it's against the law. Well, they have that information, so I think they're admitting they're breaking the law. But at any rate, that the numbered list of voters for Election Day 2020 in Fulton County does not have any one of those 4 IDs. So what I'm saying is the voter roll pre-merge, the voter history files pre-merge, both show 4 votes each, but the absentee voter file doesn't show that that person that even requested the absentee ballot returned it. So that says no votes there and no votes for the Election Day voting. So again, it just goes on to show how bad the data is in Georgia, that you can't really audit an election if voter history files, voter rolls, nothing matches, which makes it very difficult to say. I mean, I can't say with any certainty that these people voted at all. But what I can say is the data shows votes and the data shows no votes. So really what we need is a clean system where everybody knows who voted, how they voted, and anybody can do an audit of the election. So that's the biggest problem here.
Fascinating. It seems so simple, doesn't it? You know, votes should be always just added up and totaled, and we should know who can vote and did they vote, and, you know, without tying their name to it, how many votes were for each candidate. Yet we don't seem to be able to get any of it straight. And when we ask the question, things get hidden. This clearly needs to be dealt with, and we will see what happens in the coming weeks and months as analysis and findings come back from the DOJ based on what they've found in Fulton County. And we wouldn't be surprised if this leads to other findings either here in Georgia or elsewhere in the country. So with that, we may come back and talk a little bit more about elections later in the show. I would like to welcome in our special guest for this evening, Hank Sullivan, who is going to talk to us about some of his latest writings and findings. Hank, thank you for being with us, my friend.
Oh, it's great to be here again, Bill. Hope you're doing well.
Boy, you have upgraded your video settings. You look great this evening. Everything's coming through great. Thank you.
Well, I'm not out in my skiff. I'm actually in my home office at this point, but I need to get me a better background. I mean, I've got the flag back there and I got Trump back there, and
that's good enough. Now, you don't have any burn bags in your skiff, do you?
No. No. We're pretty clean out there.
All right. Well, you issued a new set of writings this week regarding yet again more what seemed to be poor decision making going on in Forsyth County, and then some other things have happened recently. So, let me not usurp your findings. Let me ask you to cover what perhaps your latest issue on Substack, and then others that you think we should hear about this evening. Please go right ahead.
Yeah, I appreciate the opportunity to speak to you and your audience. So, sometimes I have a little fun. Sometimes I will try to create an analogy to make a point. And so I made that point this week concerning the amount of money that our county commission is spending on one park in Forsyth County, and that is Sharon Springs Park. Now, I drive through Sharon Springs Park, and Sharon Springs Park, it's a finished park. It's done. I wish we had had parks like this when I was a kid. And I realize times change, but there are multiple football fields, multiple baseball fields. There are multiple tennis courts. It could use paving. And I'm sure that there are maintenance activities that need to be to happen there. And let's just say we build a building or two about something. Look, they're planning on spending $52 million on one county park. That is, anyone driving through there can very well see that this park is done. I mean, you can make an enhancements to it, but $52 million, I don't understand that. And so I went and did a little bit of checking. I said, well, wait a minute. What was Six Flags Over Georgia? How much did it cost in 1967? And let's bring those dollars to today's value. And so in 1966, Six Flags opened on 276 acres at a cost of $12 million. Now, that doesn't include the land, a cost of $12 million. So brought forward, that would be about $116,451,000 in today's dollars, or $421,923 per acre. Now, that's on 276 acres. Sharon Springs Park is 58 acres. So if you take $52 million and divide that by 58 acres, that's $896,551 per acre. Twice the intensity of investment per acre on Sharon Springs Park as would cost to build Six Flags per acre today. So there's a disconnect in my mind with respect to what is necessary down there, what is needed down there, even if you want to make some enhancements down there, and what this is actually costing to spend. I can't tell you that I know the answer to what they're going to be doing down there. I just know that I've been in many parks in my life, and that's a very nice park. And if they wanted to take truckloads of dollar bills and dump them into this park, then I don't think you could even fill up the park with $52 million worth of dollar bills. I don't know where they're coming up with this. It doesn't make any sense to me.
So I'm sorry, Hank. I was going to say my kids have played baseball there. They've played tennis there. My family's used those facilities. They're nearby. And as you say, it's a complete park. And what you're describing, unless I misheard, is nearly $1 million an acre, just a little bit less than $1 million an acre, or the equivalent of putting an $800,000 home on every acre in that facility. How would you spend that much on what today is a bunch of baseball diamonds and tennis courts?
I don't know. They're done. What are they going to do? Tear them all up and rebuild them? I don't know what they're going to do. You know, tennis courts, they need maintenance from time to time, but the football fields, they're already synthetic turf. What are they going to do? Take up the turf and put it down again? I don't know. The baseball fields, they're not, the Truist Park. They're not in that kind of shape, but this is Little League baseball. I'm all for giving kids a great place to play baseball, but from when I played baseball, we played on gravel. So I don't know what the disconnect is, and I'm not saying everybody got to stay on gravel, but here's I mean, it's not funny, but some people, when they read what I put out there, maybe it's just the way I said it, maybe they think I'm advocating we build a theme park down there. No, 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 no. No, I'm using Six Flags as an imperfect analogy to explain that this is a heck of a lot of money that they're planning on pouring into this already finished, perfectly serviceable park. And I don't understand how they come up with that. I'm not almost a crime of it. It's not a crime. Okay. The shame of it all is that there are much bigger needs in this county than to pour that kind of money into a recreational facility. Now, these are all being paid by SPLOST funds. And so there's an allocation of the total amount of funds that has to go to Parks and Rec, according to, now, the county commissioners put this together. They're the ones that proposed this. It's not like the voters could sit there and go, well, I think we need to put a little bit less, so I'm going to vote for this little option over here. No, it's all or nothing. You're going to put in, 28% or 35% because that's what it's calling for. Once that's done, then the county commissioners get to decide, okay, how are we going to spend that money specifically? Well, that money specifically is going to different parks for different needs. And this one's $52 million. So the shame of it all, in my opinion, is that we have much greater needs that are not being prioritized. You got to spend the money on Parks and Rec. Got it. But you don't have to spend that money first, because the money doesn't come in as a lump sum. It comes rolling in every month when the sales taxes are divvied up by the state, and it comes back to the county. So that money gets put into an account, but they're prioritizing this expenditure before they're solving a lot of major traffic woes that we have in this county. Many of them are in my district, District 1, which is the district that I'm running for county commissioner on. And I think it's a shame that the people are having to suffer in traffic while they go in there, and I guess they're just going to completely demo and rebuild a park. It doesn't make any sense to me, the priorities that this county commission is operating under.
When you first mentioned this and we started talking about the numbers, what came to mind was the findings when Doge finally landed in Washington and started going through the budgets of the various agencies. And they found just astounding amounts of waste, fraud, and other things. Now, I guess as we sit here right now, we can't call this fraud exactly, but you have to ask the question, given the pattern of decision making over the last, year and a half, what is the rational thinking going on? So let me walk us back. And I know this is something you've covered a number of times, but the famous now $150 million admin complex that is being built that was said to be for the county commission and other parts of the county administration. And yet we find out that because of legal restrictions, it can't be used by the county commission for deliberation, meetings, voting, and other things. It's not legal for it to do so. And it turns out now that the board knew about that prior to taking the vote, yet went ahead anyway. $150 million. That is approximately $500 for every living human in Forsyth County, kids included. How could that be decided?
Well, let's bring that back to our discussion here. So the way that our county manager is touting this as a wonderful new way of financing projects is that they overcharge property taxes for any number of years and build up a coffer of money that they're going to then spend on a project like that. So all of this time, 6-7 years of saving money for this, what I call the Freedom Parkway boondoggle, all of that time, they could have been preempting these traffic problems if they had just taken the money as it came in. Let's get it. Let's get these roundabouts done. Let's get these turning lanes done. Let's get this road widened. They could have used that same money as it was coming in and solved these problems years ago that people in my district, and I know all over Forsyth County, are suffering with today, because rather than investing it in the people's utility, they decided to invest it in more government. That's what this is. This is about the perfect government beast in Forsyth County. And we've seen that happen in county after county after county. And each time it turns out that they create this monster that its purpose is to control anything and everything about the county. That's what this whole thing is about, to control anything and everything about it and put that control in the hands of a very small number of people.
Yep. And they would say, I think, well, we're doing it in the best interests of the residents of Forsyth. Yet when you really look at it, the choices that have been made are very debatably probably not in the best interest of the people of Forsyth. We've become one of the most, the fastest growing counties in Georgia, one of the fastest growing in the nation. And we have this sprawl going on, to your point, where traffic is abysmal. You have communities being built which are out of kilter with the standards, I would say, of Forsyth County, going back 10, 15 years ago. And people notice it. They see it. They see the sprawl, and they look at other places and they say, why is this happening here? Why are we allowing this? Why are we pushing it, really? It seems remarkable. One of the big projects they've touted is the new supposed complex to be used for NHL in Forsyth County. And lo and behold, just in the last couple of days, it's become known that the cost to get that NHL franchise has gone up astronomically, now up to $2 billion, regardless of the land and the buildings and everything else. $2 billion just for the franchise. And now people are saying, well, wait a minute, maybe we should put it down in North Point, because North Point's failing and needs something down there. So after all this, change in 400 and new interchange and other things, now there's even debate about if this is going to happen. It begs the question, how many bad decisions can we make before somebody wakes up and says, wait a minute, we got to change our decision-making structure?
Well, as long as I've been watching the exploits of this county commission, it's just been one bad decision after another, going back to the vote to put the county admin building outside of the county seat, which makes it unlawful for the county commission to actually operate there.
Yeah.
The day of the vote, my commissioner, who I'm running against, Carrie Hill, I asked her at one of her campaign appearances. She had said during the night of the vote that she just learned about those problems that morning. So I asked her, I said, well, who told you, and why did they wait so long? And she let it be known publicly that it was the county manager and the county attorney that told her that and all they said was that the county commission could not vote out there. Didn't say that they also could not meet out there. But so they didn't even give her all the information. But then she also said that she couldn't get into their heads to maybe interpret why it is that they didn't. Well, my first question, if I were a county commissioner, would be, okay, why are you just now telling me this? Let me get into your head and find out why I'm just now finding out about this, and how long have you known this? Because we do know, we have a paper trail that shows that the county manager and the county attorney had known that for at least 11 and a half months. And they did not, according to Carrie Hill, Commissioner Hill, and according to Commissioner Laura Simonson says during the meeting, I'm just learning about it right now. Now, is that true? got to take her for her word that she was never told this incredibly important information, that this new location that they're about to spend $140 million on of taxpayer money, that the county commission cannot operate out of there. Just now, well, what if it had not even come up? What if Commissioner Cindy Mills had not even brought that question up? That question would have never been broached by the committee, and no one would have ever had to admit that they knew about it for 11 and a half months. So something is going on here. And if I am elected, I'm going to find out what the answers to that are. So I would tell people in Forsyth County in District 1, if you don't think that the people should understand why it was that, according to Carrie Hill, the county manager and the county attorney withheld that information for 11 and a half months and only told one of them that information that day. If you don't think that we need to know that, do not vote for me, because I plan on finding out about why, some answers about that. That's very important to me, because that's not just a mistake. There's a reason for all of that. There's a reason that people would not have told the proper information to the decision makers early enough to where they might even change course 11 and a half months earlier. Wait a minute, we need to be thinking about this. If we can't operate out there, then maybe we ought to pick this nice 30-acre spot that we already own in downtown Cumming. See, there's something going on here that I don't really understand. There's a lot of turns and twists in all of this, and people involved in it. I'm not going to say anybody's done anything wrong, but there are answers that have got to be probed and answered.
Yeah.
And that's what I plan on doing if I am elected.
One more thing I have to mention now that we're in this. You mentioned inquiring of Carrie Hill, who had told her and when, and she reported at this event that she had been told that day. Now, here's something as a reminder. Going back all the way to November, there was an ethics complaint filed with both the Ethics in Government Transparency and Campaign Finance Commission, but also the Georgia Attorney General. And so this was well known. This was reported in November. And what was amazing to me was at that same event, Carrie Hill was asked, is there an ethics complaint against the commission? Here's Carrie Hill. You can see her here as one of the commissioners against whom this complaint has been filed. And here was her answer. I think we can hear this. Bear with me for just a second to get the right spot.
I think what she said was not to my knowledge. Wasn't that correct?
Yes, I'm just trying to see if we can hear it.
Yeah.
I'm using a little different app than we normally do on StreamYard. Board regarding Forsyth at the moment?
Not that I'm aware of. Not that I'm aware of. No.
Is the Attorney General looking into a complaint regarding the Forsyth County Commission?
Not that I'm aware of. No.
Not that you're aware. Okay. Not that I'm aware of. This is 2.5 months after we reported that these complaints had been filed. 2.5 months.
Yeah, and if this is the correct one, I think a lot of the complaints are the fact that the Forsyth County is not answering open records requests.
That's correct. That's the foundation of it.
Yeah.
So you mentioned you're running for that District 1. I believe this is your website. Is that correct? Tell us how folks can get more about what you're doing.
Yeah, well, the main way that they're going to find out about my candidacy is via my Substack, and I think I've got it underneath my picture here. That's hanksullivan.substack.com, hanksullivan.substack.com. And there you will find a plethora of writings about the exploits of this county commission, dating back probably 3 years. And so if you want to know why I'm doing this, that's probably the best way to find out. I'm not doing this because I want to. I feel like I am compelled to do this. And I would allow anybody else to do it. And I would vote for them. I would support them if I felt like they were more qualified or would do the things that I believe that need to be done on the county commission to straighten this out. But I don't know anybody else that has the same level of knowledge and intensity to do that as me. So I guess I'm my own default here.
Certainly nobody's done as much research and as much reporting on Forsyth as you have done, to the angst of many. Unfortunately, there are folks that don't like truth to come out, and they don't like these questions to be asked. They'd prefer to build their buildings and spend the money and have nobody ask anything and just keep, collecting more every year.
If you don't mind, I'd like to go on to another topic with this election, if that's okay. All right. Sure. So presently, Forsyth County is operating under a development and building moratorium with respect to certain residential zonings. And that has been going on now for almost a year. And there seems to be no end to it. And it was designed as a stopgap to give Forsyth County a breather to be able to catch up with some of the infrastructure needs that are really plaguing the people who already live here. The difficulty is that they haven't tended to any of those infrastructure needs, or very few of them, number one. And number two, there's no end game. There's nothing, they haven't devised a way to get out of this moratorium in order to it not just start over again, the problems start over again. They haven't designed a way to resolve the issues that began the moratorium to begin with. And so my purpose in this is not just to criticize them, but it is also to offer suggestions that would help alleviate some of these problems. So when the moratorium, sooner or later, the moratorium's got to be it's got to be stopped. And so does that mean that at that point, then developers and builders are just going to pour in there with all of their permitting applications and all that? Possibly. Well, what needs to happen in order that become orderly and maybe not just a total inundation of applications? And my suggestion is that we actually put some teeth in the tree ordinance. There is a tree ordinance in Forsyth County. The problem is that the tree ordinance has loopholes, and the loopholes allow for mass clearing and grading for Res 3, which many of these developments are. And I'm seeing that mass clearing and grading is also happening in Res 2. What's mass clearing and grading? Mass clearing and grading is when a developer goes in there and takes out all of the trees anywhere affecting the construction and engineers the pad levels for each of these slab homes, so that essentially they're beginning construction on all of the homes, but during the development phase. So they can go in there a lot less expensively if they take out all the trees, except for a few in between houses or selected locations and buffers around the perimeter. If they take out all the trees in advance, and then all they have to do at that point is just start building on the lots when they get the building permits. The difficulty with all of that is that you don't have any trees left, number one. And number two, there are developments like on the backside of where I live, on the backside of Forsyth County, where they've gone in and they've carved into Sawney Mountain about 40 feet in order to create a flat tabletop to step down all these slab homes. And each one of these slab homes has got a designed elevation so that they can make sure that everything's going to work. Look, if a developer wants to develop on that property and the zoning will allow it, there's not much anyone can do about it. But the county does not have to allow developers to go in and mass clear and grade. That mass clearing and grading is actually a fairly new, in the last 15 years, kind of construction. Back when I was building in the subdivisions, back in the 90s, back in the olden days, a developer only had the ability to clear and grade for the roads or for specific drainage areas or sewers or infrastructure types of installations. But they didn't go in there and clear out all of the trees. In fact, they would charge more for the tree lots because they were more desirable for the people. But what that happens then is that means that they can't get the density that the modern national builders want to satisfy their stockholders. They have to pack these houses so close together. This is a key to understanding how we resolve the growth issue in Forsyth County. We do not allow mass clearing and grading, which means that the national builders can't get the density that they want. And in which case, in some instances, and perhaps a lot of instances, they will opt not to develop a piece of property because they cannot get the return on it that they need for their stockholders. That's what it's all about. So that means that when the property is developed, it will have to be developed with a much less density. And it'll be two things will contribute to that: the overall design of the subdivision, in other words, the extremities of the subdivision, but also the terrain, because you can't just go in there and alter the terrain, flatten it all out anymore, because you got to leave the trees in there, like in the olden days. That's the key to understanding how we moderate the growth in District 1 in Forsyth County, because District 1 is a special case of Forsyth County because it's not fully developed, not like a lot of the areas in the South that have been destroyed, in my opinion. Right. So this area, if we do it right, in 20 years, the kids that are growing up here, when they come back and bring their kids to see grandma and grandpa, they'll be able to find their houses, not like in the south part of the county or in Fulton County, places where all of this mass clearing and grading has been happening. So to do that, Bill, all we have to do is like change a couple of sentences, not in the zoning categories, but in the tree ordinance. The tree ordinance applies to all of the zoning categories. So you don't have to change someone's zoning, which would be grandfathered in. All you have to do is change the tree ordinance and remove the loopholes allowing that. And that is the key, I believe, in being able to release the moratorium and still maintain an orderly growth throughout the district.
And end up with developments that look pretty over time.
Yes.
And still have trees that are, that may have been there for 70, 80, maybe in some cases 100 years.
Yeah, on larger lots.
Yeah.
And, somebody did say, and this is a valid question, the larger the lot is, then essentially the more expensive the home is that you have to build on it to make the numbers work for a builder. And I acknowledge that. I acknowledge that. So the question is, okay, we have needs to solve employments at local businesses, and that means that you got to have kids working summer jobs, and they got to have places to live. You have young people that need to be able to move into a community that they're going to work in, and they're not going to be able to afford this. Look, that question is so valid, and I will acknowledge that. I grew up in a one family member. My father was the income producer, and I was probably one of the last generations of that. But that's not a question that a county commission can deal with unless the county commission is willing to bring in high density, low income housing. And Forsyth County is would not stomach that. And that's not what I'm going to do. The answer to that is what Donald Trump, our president, is working on with the Federal Reserve, because that's a much bigger question, a bigger problem than anyone can solve locally. That is something that goes into globalism. It goes into the way that our money is created and issued, and it's been in place now since 1971, when they released the gold standard. So that question is not anything we can deal with. I'm sorry. I wish I could make it all better, but I can't. As a county commissioner, the only thing that I can do, and a goal I would have, and I may not be here to see it, but in 20, 25 years from now, I want people's kids to be able to drive and find the home that they grew up in, and not get lost like you would if you're traveling through the south part of this county.
That sounds like a reasonable goal. Hank, thank you for being with us. We will look forward to hearing more as the campaign progresses, and it's going to really ramp up, I guess, in the coming weeks, isn't it?
I've never done this before.
Well, we'll see.
I don't know.
All right. Thanks again for being here. We'll look forward to having you back soon.
I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you.
Thanks very much. All right, let's take one break, and then we'll come back and we'll cover one Trump story before we close.
Excited to announce that we're having our biggest Made in America sale ever. We just put huge discounts on products made right here in the USA. My Pillow bed pillows, body pillows, go anywhere pillows, bolster pillows, all made with my patented adjustable fill. Mattresses, mattress toppers, mattress pads, adjustable bed frames, mattress foundations, and so much more. All made right here in the USA. And now we're expanding our USA products beyond just quality sleep. Like the cross I wear every day, now available in both men's and women's. We even have USA-made socks. And are you tired of being tired? Try our new health beverage, Rev 7. Or how about my coffee, the greatest coffee ever. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use this promo code to get deep discounts on all these products. Plus, for a limited time, your order ships absolutely free.
Divorce is tough. A warm welcome here at the National Press Club. Welcome to the journalists, welcome to the Embraer team, and welcome to the other guests that we have here. We're going to announce, and as some of you guessed it right when they came in, the first E2 order by an American operator. And that operator is Avello. We believe this is really a strategic shift to unlock profitability for the customer. I'm very pleased that we have Andrew Levy here as the CEO of Avello, and I'm very pleased to give the stage to share a little bit more about what Avello is going to do with the E2 195. Thank you very much.
Couldn't be more excited to be here as part of this historic announcement. We have such a great cultural fit as companies, so we're very, very excited to be Embraer's newest customer. We launched our airline in April of 21, and our target is focusing on small secondary airports of large metro areas. We've carried over 8 million customers since we started on 63,000 flights. And we've done all these things with 1,200 of the greatest crew members I could ever imagine having, and many of them are here with me today. This is the right airplane for us. It's going to open up opportunities for us that no other aircraft can serve. The best thing about the airplane, of course, is you will not find a middle seat on this airplane. It doesn't exist. We won't have any to offer. It's going to be the best cabin in the United States, and we're so excited about that. This is going to elevate our experience to the highest level, and we think our customers are absolutely going to love the airplane.
I gave you a little preview there to the Skiff Todd Wood show that's on 10 to noon each day, each weekday. And it'll be on tomorrow morning on CDM1 on Rumble, and you can find it on our X channels as well. I wanted to play a video from a Trump presser that occurred today. A lot of people have said, gosh, why is he so focused on, law and order? Why is this so important? And it's important because of the people involved. When you really look at what's been happening in some of these cities, and you look at the changes that are now occurring, the differences, you begin to hear stories like this, and that people, when they've unfortunately been touched by the violence, by some of the crime that's previously been in these cities, they can see the difference and they appreciate it. Let's listen to this.
Felicia Cook, a lifelong Washingtonian who tragically lost her grandson to violence in 2017. Felicia, we're so sorry, and you are a spectacular person. If you could say a few words, please. Thank you very much. Help her up. We don't want any mistakes. Yes, you have.
I like him too. One thing I like about him, he keeps it real, just like Grandma. I appreciate that because I can trust him. He tells exactly how he feels and what he wants. Thank God for this president. I am filled, my cup runneth over. Because he allowed his constituents, his people, to come to my house to interview me, to talk about the murder of my grandson. It seemed like nobody cared. I'm an advocate for murder. I marched, I rallied, I pulled out other families in the District of Columbia that had murders and did not have answers. Ooh. We marched and we rallied, and nobody heard me, Democrats. Get mad at me. Until this Republican sent his constituents, his people out there to interview me in my home. Have you ever heard of a thing? Then they invited me twice before Congress to testify for the beautiful bill that's going to change crime in the district. If you kill somebody, okay, you take a life, you do life. Just that simple. If you do a harsh crime, you do harsh crime. Just that simple. And if we need National Guard, and which we did years ago, he brought it on. I love him. I don't want to hear nothing you got to say about that racist stuff. And don't be looking at me on the news, hating on me because I'm standing up for somebody that deserves to be stand up for. Get out the man's back. Let him do his job. He's doing the right thing. Back up off. And Grandma said it.
And Grandma said, all right. Well, thank you for being with us. Again, Todd Wood will be on the Skiff tomorrow morning, 10 to noon. We'll be back on Sunday with the next version of the Georgia show. And we will be stacking up the stories between now and then. Thank you again for being with us. And we will look forward to seeing you soon.